After action review is actually a tool that was developed by the US military, where each a unit immediately after completing an assignment meets at the first opportunity after the action has been successfully or not completed to review what happened. And the idea is to look at what did we do, what did we intend to do, what did we do, what went wrong, what went right, and what changes do we need to do going forward. The before action review is something that we've developed for projects, which is essentially very similar to the after action, but it's something you do ahead of time. In other words, before you take action, try to anticipate what might happen and what we might do in order to deal with those anticipated problems before they occur. So here is the steps in the AAR, the after action review. At the particular checkpoint or review point in which we are reviewing our progress, first question is, what did we hope to achieve? That, in other words, what was our intention for the previous phase of the project that we're reviewing at this point? What actually happened? So did we do all of what we wanted to do? Did we do more? Did we do less? And why did it happen if what happened was not exactly what we anticipated would happen? What have we learned? In other words, based on this, what assumptions need to be updated? What other things need to be taken into account that we did not have? And what are the implications for the project? So is the project still viable? What I have here is NPV greater than 0. This is for those of you who have some financial background, NPV stands for net present value, and that's a particular financial measure for projects. So if you don't know anything about net present value, you can ignore that. So implication for the project, it could be still viable, therefore we continue as planned. Can we move to the next step? Should we shift focus? Do we need to consolidate things? Do we need to do further breakdowns? Should we stop? In other words, based on what happened, maybe the project is no longer viable, or if we need to stop, what can we salvage from the project? And are new assumptions necessary? So as you can see, the after action review is essentially taking stock of what we've done, learning from what we've done as compared to what we had planned to do, and then moving forward with some adjustments. The before action review is then doing the same thing but in a prospective fashion. So what do we expect to achieve in the next time period until the next checkpoint? What may happen that may prevent us from achieving what we intend to achieve? What would be the signals that there may be problems? And what can we do to head them off, to mitigate them? In other words, what contingency can we be ready for? And what corrective actions may be required if those elements happened? And again, what are the implications for the project in terms of individual action? Team members, X, Y, Z, what do you need to do? Or what subgroup may do? What we may do as a team. Maybe, if a particular contingency occurs, we have to have an emergency team meeting, etc. So in other words, you can plan ahead of time if certain things happen, what we might do so that they don't come in as a surprise. And so the outcome at a checkpoint review is to continue as planned, or to change direction, break the project apart, put it on hold, etc. Any number of options need to be considered as a result of those reviews. Now, how does a checkpoint review works? You should start, obviously you should have an agenda, but you should start with the after action review, looking back and say, this is what happened. and what did not happen, etc. And as a result of the after action review, these are certain things that we need to do in the next phase. Then you have your meeting in terms of whatever the agenda is supposed to cover. And at the end, before you break up, you do your before action review. In other words, you look at the agenda, at the plan and the task plan for the next phase, and then look at what might be potential problems, potential contingency, and potential action that you might have to do or to take in order to head off or mitigate those issues if they occur. So the rhythm is first the after action review, identify initiatives to take as a result of the action of the after action review, and then integrate that into your agenda for the next phase, and then go your before action review before you start the next phase. Okay, so I really encourage you to bring those two ideas into your project management style and your team meetings. You know, always start with a review of what we've done and end with an anticipation of what may happen. And then repeat that as a rhythm and as a standard agenda for all of your meetings. And by the way, team meetings or checkpoints should be scheduled ahead of time in a regular fashion, and you can always cancel one if there is nothing to discuss. But don't have one thing that does not work well is to say we will call a meeting when we need to have one. No, have a schedule of meeting. Let's say once a week on Monday from 10 to 12. And if this particular Monday there is nothing to discuss, cancel the meeting, but have it on the agenda on a regular basis. Okay.